Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another session of Coffee with Chris. Today's topic, we're focused on Dynamics 365 Business Central, and I'm going to show you what's new in the Wave 2 or Fall 2024 release. My name is Chris Young, and I am the Managing Partner at Clients First of our NAV and Business Central practice. I'm also the CFO. I've been doing ERP and IT consulting for over 30 years. I am a NAV Business Central solution architect, so I try to help clients take advantage of the functionality that is available in Business Central. When they insist on wanting to make a customization or change something, I'm one of the people that ask why. And I've been consulting and got certified in the NAV product in 1997. So let's dig right in. Some of the features I'm going to talk about and show you are not available in the preview release that I have installed. So I'm going to show you some of the documentation, but we're going to cover all of the important features that are coming up in the next release. Add invoices and receipt documents to e-documents in bulk. And what does that mean? Well, when we take a look at opening those documents in bulk, we can go through, and e-documents are typically used to assist accounts payable with processing inbound invoices or receipts of goods. We now have the ability to do them in bulk. So basically, when files in the current release of Business Central, you receive an inbound document. That incoming document, it has to be imported one at a time. With this new release, you can import from other sources, like a folder on SharePoint or directly from email, importing documents in bulk to speed up the process. So if you receive documents electronically in any form, you can save them to a SharePoint folder as if you're putting them into a file cabinet for accounts payable invoices to process. And then they can be automatically imported into the eDoc system en masse. Archive service management documents. So you've been able to archive documents, and archiving is a function when you print or send a document, like a sales order or a sales invoice or a quote. It asks you if you want to archive that version of the document. So service management never supported any kind of document archiving. On the new service management setup page, the options are there to archive service quotes, and the option is never, which is the default, or question, meaning it will ask you each time you print or send a service quote, or always archive when sending or printing a service quote. The same three questions, archive service contract quotes, so versus a service order quote, never is the default, question me, or always, or do I want to archive orders when they are printed or sent? And that can be a yes or a no in the new setup table. Capture data from eDocs with Azure AI Document Intelligence. So this sounds pretty exciting. And if you're not aware of where we're looking at all of this information, under learn.microsoft.com, English US, Dynamics 365 Release Plan 2024 Wave 2, you can just Google Business Central Wave 2 2024, and it's going to bring you right here. And all the features that we're going to cover are available. Sometimes it helps when someone describes them, though, which is why you're here with me. So capture invoice and receipt data with Azure AI Document Intelligence. So if we scroll down, this is automatically going to be available in January of 2025. We don't have a general availability date yet, but this is planned functionality. And basically, when you import an eDoc, the system uses OCR. And in the current release, you either have to buy an ISV extension to a number of AP automation options, or you can subscribe to Lexmark's OCR process. Well, they basically, I guess, eliminated that because they've extended the incoming document feature to capture and process data from imported invoices and imported receipts. For documents such as PDFs and images, the OCR service must capture data. But in this release, a new state-of-the-art OCR service is built into Business Central to process invoices and receipts and automate daily tasks for bookkeepers and accountants, powered by native integration into Azure AI Document Intelligence. So this is awesome because I think a lot of people held back from adding the subscription for the Lexmark product. So they weren't really leveraging it, but now this is going to be built in. Expect to be able to see a preview in January of 2025. You have the ability to export posted sales invoices to Shopify and also import and export product information using Shopify's meta fields. So these are tighter integrations with Shopify. If we take a look at the description of sales invoices going to Shopify, and this functionality will be available in October, if we cruise down, on the Shopify setup card, there's a new report or batch job. And you can use the Tell Me function on Business Central's homepage or Role Center to find this. But basically, to enable this capability for a specific shop, you go to the Shopify shop card, and the system will automatically synchronize if we turn on posted invoice sync. The Shopify order ID, the bill to customer, will be mapped to a Shopify customer or a Shopify company. The bill to isn't used as the default customer on a Shopify shop card. And the posted invoice has at least one non-comment line, so it has to have a line item. If those things are true, then the filters are going to allow the order to synchronize. And it's going to update the Shopify order ID field based on results of the sync. It also will feed back information. If we look, it's telling us the data fields that come forward. But it'll also process and import the order, check whether it was exported earlier, and it deals with updates because the order's been fulfilled. The only meaningful changes are notes, payment status, or payment transactions. And if payments are processed in Shopify, refunds and returns are processed as well. So, sweet functionality improvement to export processes, sales invoices to Shopify. Also, product details. So, a lot of times in a Shopify environment, you might have data that doesn't exist. So you're using Shopify as what we call a content management system, or CMS. And what this allows you to do, because you've added and stored additional information in the meta fields in a Shopify resource, such as a product or a variant, but other details, attributes, or other related entries. With that platform, you have this detail available out of the box. However, you don't have the ability to get that into Business Central. So what this allows you to do is you can now map the meta fields directly to Business Central. So import and export data stored in meta fields into Business Central, and an extensibility model that allows developers to map to standard fields or to custom extension fields, attributes, or other related entries in the Business Central to the Shopify meta fields. So it gives us tighter integration, which is already strong, with meta field integration. Field service. So for those of you that use service management in Business Central, it's a decent product. It's been there for many, many years, where, you know, if you're an HVAC repair organization or you do computer repair, service management fits really well with service orders, service contracts, skilled resources that know how to work on that type of equipment, and you can create a service item worksheet. But it's not what we would call a tier 1 service management or field service management solution. And Microsoft has a Dynamics product specifically their D365 field service product. So what they've done is integrated field service with service management. So if we take a look at field service with service management, work orders in field service can be integrated. So Dynamics 365 field service, and there's an assisted setup guide to integrate. So a work order type can be mapped to a service order type. You can also use the external project field to link it to a project, which is a job or project in BC. So this allows us to process transactions in field service, but have invoicing done in the accounting system, Business Central. There's also a complete new subscription billing module built into Business Central. So anyone that sells subscriptions, whether it's products or items that are recurring or on a subscription basis, is now available to process. It isn't released yet, but it's supposed to be available in October, general availability. And basically, you can support many types of subscription scenarios in BC. There's a simple set of processes that let you manage portfolios of items and services that you bill on a recurring basis. And the new module comes with contracts for which you do recurring billing for items and services, billing schedules with flexible parameters, usage-based billing. So if you're tracking usage of something you've sold on a contract, potentially automated billing, deferral integration. So if you book an invoice, but you want to recognize or defer the revenue or the expenses, you can do that to get accurate financials. Revenue recognition based on the invoicing schedule. Contract updates with new parameters for billing and prices. And there are a bunch of standard reports for contracts, customers, billing schedules, recognized revenue, future billing dates and amounts, and so on. And most of them are built as Power BI reports available natively in Business Central. I'm excited to get my hands on this functionality as it's all completely brand new. Reconciling payment transactions. So this is once again in Shopify. It's a new Shopify feature that when sometimes you might have a transaction in Shopify, a customer might be taking advantage of something like a gift card. And that's the example that they use here, where when a payment is processed, they buy goods in the Shopify store, but when they process payment, they're maybe taking a store credit and applying it towards their invoice, or a gift card or some kind of a coupon, and paying with credit card or PayPal. And depending on that provider, the payment information may have a fixed fee or a surcharge. So we have the ability to reconcile those transactions and bank statements by going through a function in the cash receipt journal called Suggest Shopify Payments. And in this cash receipts page, it will grab the applied documents from Shopify and bring the information into our journal. Like on Shopify order, there was a gift card, there was a credit card payment that was processed, and or a refund of the gift card and a refund of the credit card charge. So this information can be processed, and the Suggest Shopify Payments will help us with reconciling and recording that information in real time in Business Central. Replenish items for projects. So the project system, formerly known as Jobs, has always had the ability to go through and process transactions and be able to consume items. And more recently, they've added features like creating inventory demand. So if we go into projects, and I bring up a project record in BC, and I look at an individual project, we have the ability now from the Actions function button to create POs. And what this is going to do, it's going to look at all of the items on my project budget, and based on the information that's set up on my planning lines, wherever there's items, it's going to bring in the items that I need to purchase and the default source of supply, if I have that indicated on my inventory item card, and create the purchase orders for me directly from a job. Another feature they've added to Project is the ability to create an inventory pick or to create a warehouse pick, including using bin locations. So if you're working on a specific project or job and you create a bin location for where the inventory needs to go for that project or job, which could be a truck, a flatbed, a box truck where we have to load inventory, the system will drive picks to pick that inventory and get it ready to go out on site for that project or for that job. So doing a bunch of great things for people that use projects. Use directed put away and pick for warehouse with warehouses for projects. So another area, they've added a bunch of new report designs for financial reporting. For those of you in the NAV world, they used to be called account schedules, and now they finally renamed it financial reports. But if we look at the new reports that Microsoft has added to Business Central, they've added the 5 new row definitions and 12 column definitions. So new default role definitions, trial balance, detailed balance sheet, summarized balance sheet, income statement, and income statement detail and summary. And row definitions have the same names and descriptions as the reports, but you'll see all of the new row definitions that they have defined. So these could always be created in the row definitions, but now these are provided natively out of the box, making it much more quick and efficient to go through and create your financial statements. View inventory item availability on a field service work order. So back to field service. The field service or Dynamics 365 field service product has the ability to have work orders. But now that it's integrated with business value, when a technician or a dispatcher is in field service, they can get availability for a specific warehouse or a technician's truck on a work order in the field service system. As Business Central is going to house and manage and be in control of the inventory and the costing and the accounting, it's important to see this visibility from the field service system. Then we can have all of the inventory and costing managed directly in Business Central. We can also indicate if we want to use an in-transit. If you turn the toggle off as an in-transit location, that location will be visible on field service. And project consumption and warehouse handling is different from warehouse pick. That's a mandatory setting. And assembly consumption warehouse handling is also different from a warehouse pick. So there's a few settings you have to set, but this will make the visibility in field service of inventory that's stored in Business Central. Automate testing for Copilot extensions. So with Copilot, the Business Central test toolkit, we're going to have developers building extensions that leverage Copilot. And one of the things that people need to understand about development of an extension for Business Central is we need to have automated testing. So what that means is when a system becomes updated, a new release gets installed, like this, Wave 2, the system has to run through and test that the extensions are compatible. So with this feature, we can author tests for prompt dialogues using the familiar framework in AL Code or Visual Studio, organize test data sets based on purpose and prompt variations, implement automated verification, and run tests as fully automated or semi-automated. So The big thing, it always had the ability with developers tools to go through and do basic automated script testing. But now it's not just that, it's deployment, administration, feedback loops, and test automation. So this is really a little more technical. It's on the developer side, but Microsoft's thinking of how to incorporate this for any Copilot extensions to make sure that automated testing will be taking place. Chat with Copilot to learn to use installed add-on apps or extensions. So Chat with Copilot is a fantastic utility, and I'm going to show a couple of features of how that works. But with Copilot, with new extensions, add-on apps will have support for chatting with Copilot. So with Wave 2, the chat function, and I'm going to show you how the conversational experience works, but users can ask questions. So let's say that we installed a gift card extension into Business Central, and there's documents provided by the app installer, but you can chat with Copilot. How do I set a reward level to gold, silver, or bronze on the customer page? And Copilot's going to review this information and come back and have responses that will let us know exactly how to operate the software. So it's as if the software comes with a consultant to make recommendations on how to set things up. Complete bank rec faster with Copilot. So everyone knows that Business Central has the ability to do bank reconciliation. But if we go ahead and we take a look at bank rec, and we bring up a bank reconciliation, you're going to notice that Copilot is sitting here waiting for me. And if I click on reconcile, Copilot's going to say, all right, let's reconcile with Copilot. Perform reconciliation for which bank account? And I'll go ahead and choose which bank. And I must have a bank statement format on that bank account, but we'll go ahead and we'll choose that bank that we're going to do this reconciliation for. And the bank is going to go through, and the first step is import transaction data. So when we've selected the bank, it's going to download from the bank the transactional data, and then within the bank rec, it's going to automate the matching to find out any payments you've made that have cleared and any customer deposits that you've recorded that are recognized in the system by matching based on the transaction details, the dollar amount, even information if it was like a direct ACH payment from a customer or direct debit, and it says what bank account it came from, that will be referenced on your customer record. So Copilot will do what it can to match. What happens when it can't match a transaction, like interest income or a wire fee or something like that? The system will recommend, this looks like interest income. I suggest you post it to this GL account. So it's really going to speed up the process. And instead of bank account reconciliation waiting for a statement and then digging through and manually, this could be done as a weekly process, even more frequently, where it just downloads the transactions, make sure everything is up to date, and process everything that's cleared. Automating that manual task. Create product information faster with Copilot. So when we're adding new items to inventory, one of the things that we can do with this, and the public preview will be available automatically in October, when we add a new product, change an existing product, put in a new product line, an item category, Copilots can reduce the effort and accelerate time to market for new products with updating things like the marketing description, but importing variants by copying from a similar item, the unit of measure that we set up, or units of measure, if there are substitutions, or if there are dimensions. So when you manage product info, Copilot can assist by suggesting data from similar products. Copilot can also assign attributes based on importing a picture. So really cool. I mean, obviously, we're going to keep our eyes on this and check it. But think about adding a bunch of new products to inventory, And you don't have to worry about, oh, I need the base unit and I need the shipping unit or the case pack or the pallet, because it's the same as other representative products. Really just making things much more efficient and leveraging artificial intelligence. Create sales lines easily with Copilot. So this is a pretty cool feature. And when we go ahead and go into, let's just go into a new sales order. I'll bring up a list of orders. We'll create a new one. And I'll put in here an order for a datum. Corporation. And we'll go, rather than going to my lines, I can click on suggest the sales lines. And this is a chat box. And it says describe items or quantities or refer to a document, which I could put in here an Excel spreadsheet that I received via email or an email text. But I'm going to say a datum wants the same items as their last order and generate. And the system's going to look through based on its history and its understanding of the language in the language model. And it finds, okay, on the last order, these are the suggested sales lines. And I can go through here and update, but I can just click insert, and it's going to go through and create this order for me. So if this customer typically has repeat business with me, or, this came in via an email, I can use Copilot in the body of an email and create this order without even leaving Outlook. So really very interesting and very efficient in order to do things like that. Experience enhancements to the analysis assist with Copilot. So if you're not familiar with analysis views, they've recently come out where you can create pivot tables or analysis views directly in Business Central. So if I go, for example, to the item ledger entry table, and we bring up those item ledger entries, I've got, all of these details. And if I want to find entries or look at transactional data, I can do that. And I'm going to move this so I can see full screen width. And what I want to do is put it into analysis mode. And in analysis mode, I can make a list of transactions, and I can tell it what I want for my rows and my columns. I can even do something called pivot mode. And pivot mode will put the transactions into a different type of view. So like a pivot table where I can put in my rows and my columns. But instead of doing this, if I come out of analysis mode and I use Copilot and I say, Copilot, help me out here. I want to see, show me sales by item by month. And I'll click generate. And as a pivot table. So just plain language, right? I type this in, it's going to prepare the analysis. And so I don't want to see transfers or inventory adjustments. I just want sales. So here's my sales by item by month. And I didn't have to do anything difficult. I just told it, I was on the item ledger entry table, and I said, create this data for me. And it's gone through and created and told me my sum of my sales amounts and selected the appropriate fields for the pivot, for the row groups, for the values, and for the column labels. And I can say, do I want to keep it or discard it? And it's going to now save this analysis view, sales by items by month. If you haven't seen analysis mode, you can see here I'm looking at 650 rows of data. And if I want to see, I want to add up how much of the 19 series that I sell in January, I can see here the average value, the count, it was 4 transactions, the min, the max, and the sum. Where usually you would have to put this stuff into Excel. This isn't Excel. This is in a web browser with nothing, there's no Excel running or anything. I'm just on a web page accessing Business Central. So I really think that's phenomenal functionality that we can talk to it and not have to be analysis view, pivot mode experts. Okay. Start using Copilot without having to set things up. So in the current release, if you have 24 and you've got Copilot and you're using it, someone had to go through and do setups, an administrator. In October of 2024, when you install release 25, and new environments of 25 or later no longer require any administrative setup. Users are immediately able to enjoy Copilot. And environments upgrading are also automatically updated. The Allow Movement setting in Copilot and Artificial Intelligence Capabilities page is switched on. Now, your admins could turn this off if they want to opt out of being able to use it, but this functionality will be automatically turned on, so Copilot will be there for you, and that doesn't require additional licensing like it does if you want to use Copilot with Microsoft Word. It's part of Business Central's foundation. Suggest number series with Copilot. So this speaks to simplifying setup. When you're suggesting number series, you have to go through all those tables and put in your starting number and your ending number and your increment. Well, there's now a AI generate number series with Copilot dialog box where you can prompt to create new or modify existing number series. And when you bring up the chat box, generate number series with Copilot, you'll tell it, create numbers for my purchase module or sales module. And the system will go through, and here it's created a series for posted purchase invoices and posted purchase invoices. And it's coming up with a recommended starting number, an ending number, an increment. And, you can take its advice, or you can say you don't want to, but the system will go through and think about how quickly you can set up the system when Copilot's making the recommendations. Summarize any record with Copilot. So when you're looking through data in the system, and maybe you have a very large invoice or a very large transaction set, you might spend a considerable amount of time understanding the current state of your data and all the fields that really matter. So Copilot can automatically summarize it and create a concise and textual summary of any record, even for data from custom tables. And you can then interact with that summary data immediately and record any data, important fields. You can drill down if you want associated with that. So it's a production-ready preview for production and sandbox environments for all countries. Start using integration with the IRS. So if you're sending out 1099s at the end of the year, you've probably struggled with trying to get forms to align properly and buying the right form. Is it a multi-part up or a single page or how that works? So with the release of 25, Microsoft has fixed it where the 1099s are designed to file electronically with the IRS. So we don't have to print 1099s on pre-printed forms. Business Central will submit a 1099 through integration with the IRS and will send copy B to a vendor as copy substitutions, and they'll be printed on plain paper or emailed electronically. So you won't have to go through this. The IRS has API integration using their Iris platform. The integration is based on the new 1099 feature that was delivered in Wave 1. But printing on plain paper is the newer feature. Sustainability. So Microsoft has added a bunch of sustainability elements to Business Central for tracking sustainability, basically. So if we take a look at what I'm referring to here, and we go into sustainability, and there's a whole role center, but sustainability setup. And in the sustainability setup area, we can set up account categories for sustainability. We can set up emission units of measure, the emission decimal places, the responsibility center that's linked to sustainability, which should be tied to one of your factories, plants, or locations. And there's a fuel, electricity, decimal precision, a distance. And if we look at the account categories, we can set up user-defined categories. And what are we tracking? CO2, CH4, or nitric oxide emissions. And there's a number of areas built in with sustainability. A sustainability journal, sustainability ledger entries, recurring sustainability. There's a complete chart of sustainability accounts. And if we just go back into the PowerPoint deck, so sustainability scorecards and goals can be established where we can track a scorecard. And if I look at that scorecard, it's tracking for me the sustainability goals for my organization. You know, from a sustainability perspective, it's something that's getting important in industry. And greenhouse gas emissions can be tracked on purchase transactions. So when we create an item card, we can give it a greenhouse gas emissions code. And the system, when we process a purchase order, we can record that there's a whole sustainability fast tab that will track emissions. We can also purchase carbon credits and put those into our reporting as well. So there's a whole brand new module on sustainability and a complete role center specifically around sustainability. I skipped over this, add attachments when you send electronic documents. So in version 25, when we send electronic documents, a sales order, a purchase order, an invoice, we can attach the document such as a PDF, which enhances transactional transparency. I've seen a lot of businesses where they'll want to send their terms and conditions not as a part of the sales document, but as an additional attachment. User documentation, MSDS, certificates of assurance. We have the ability to choose and send multiple versions of additional attachments whenever we send a document. So another nice new feature. Navigate the Sustainability Manager Role Center with ease. So there's a whole role center that's described to be able to review our environmental metrics and compliance data. So right here, there's a headline, your carbon footprint is 585. This is 2.632% more than yesterday. The whole thing is you can add costs associated and have charts and cues to try to reduce emissions and try to reduce operational costs while you go. So it's really interesting that they've added this for, compliance, and so that we can capture and track crucial data concerning greenhouse gas emissions in its own dedicated role center. Enable internal carbon fee calculations, purchase carbon credits, report sustainability entries with financial reports. Use e-documents with Power Automate. So Power Automate is part of the Power Platform with Microsoft Flow. And in December of 2024, this will be available. But e-docs are getting rather standard these days. Modern businesses want compliant ways to share them with the right people. Another way of describing this, it's like EDI, but it's unstructured. And what we can do is use APIs for Power Automate to share e-documents with other applications. So this is making improvements in terms of integration between Business Central, Teams, and other product solutions, depending on whatever systems your trading partners, your customers, your vendors have, but allows app integration using the Power Platform. Use multiple VAT numbers for a customer. So if you've got customers in various countries, they have different warehouses. Those different warehouses in multiple EU countries will have different VAT numbers for processing within each country. Business Central has added this so you can configure alternate VAT numbers and posting groups for customers' warehouses, which are their ship-to locations, in different countries. So right on the ship-to, and that'll be available for sales invoices, sales orders, sales credits, and sales returns, so that we can track those different VAT numbers and provide appropriate information by country, region, and by alternate ship-to. Use new service providers in the e-document framework. So service providers are basically those organizations that generate the standards for doing electronic invoice exchange. It's kind of the new or modern EDI. And we have the flexibility now, and the e-document service page has several service integrations already. Partners can add their own by clicking New, where you can add your own mapping tools for data exchange, or you can purchase these by purchasing a connector that you can find on AppSource. Use embedded Power BI reports out of the box. So anyone that's on the SaaS platform, you have that Power BI module box down at the bottom of the screen, but a lot of people probably aren't leveraging it. And that's because you got to build your own Power BI reports. Well, not anymore. In version 25, general availability October 2024, Business Central will come with many native Power BI dashboards and data analysis reports. This release wave adds a lot of new reports, 14 finance-based reports, 12 sales reports, 13 purchase reports, 7 inventory reports, 11 manufacturing reports, and 6 reports from the project system. You can also embed Power BI metrics onto your scorecards to track your important KPIs directly on your role center in Business Central, or on some cards, like the customer card list, the info pane. You can have Power BI measures directly on many lists. And resize columns even when personalization is not enabled. So basically, for anyone that knows what that is referring to, when you are looking at a sales order, or right now I've got these lines on this project card, wouldn't it be nice if I could make this a little wider? Well, now you can do that without having to go into personalize to design to change those column layouts. Although that might not seem like a big deal, remember, this is a web page. So the number of controls and the amount of detail they're providing in this elegant to work with client is simply on a web page. Really powerful stuff. Normally you would have to go into personalize, modify the layouts, and then reload that page. And now that's a static adjustment for everyone. But now you can do that as easy as if you were working in a traditional thick client piece of software. And the final feature I wanted to talk about was use drag and drop on file upload dialogues to attach multiple files at once. So many of you are using the document attachments feature. And whether it's on a customer, an invoice, an order, even a journal entry, you might have multiple documents to attach. When you click attach and you want to attach a file or files, you have this drag and drop upload box. Well, now you can go into your file repository, and if I go ahead and I'll go to a file that has some pictures or whatever documents I want to attach, technical specifications, whatever it would be, and I can select multiple records. So I'll select this one, and I'll select this one, and I'll select this one. So I've got a few of them here, and I'm going to drag this window down, and I'm going to drag this up, and now you'll notice how it has a 3 there that I can attach multiple records by dragging and dropping multiple attachments at one time directly onto a document attachment prompt. So with that, I've shared with you 99% of the new features that are part of the Wave 2 release. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Or I'm also hoping to entertain if anyone wants to see more on specific features when they're available. I would love to make that part of a future Coffee with Chris seminar.
So if anyone has any questions, I've been monitoring the Q&A and haven't really seen any questions come up, but if anyone has anything that I can answer, yes, question came in, can we get a copy of the presentation? And yes, the recording of this presentation will be available. Look for it on a link on our website in a couple of days. And I'm glad you're interested in that. It's great to see people attending and paying attention and actually sticking around. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you find this type of webinar useful. You know, there's a lot to learn when they come out with all these new features. Here's another question. What about the Wave doc with links to the subject? Great question. Let me show you where that is, so I can put that link into chat. But if I just Google Business Central 2024 Wave 2, it's going to take me directly to Microsoft Learn Wave 2. I'm not sharing the screen. Let me share my screen. Share. Zoom tools. And I will share the screen. So when you want to Google this or search for this to be able to share, you know, and I just Googled Business Central 2024 Wave 2, Business Central 2024 Wave 2, the first link that comes up is Microsoft Learn. And here you can see everything I've walked you through. So what's new and planned, adapt faster with the Power Platform, application, you know, add invoice receipts and documents in bulk, archive service management. I actually am not a fan of the sequence, but I kept my sequence in the same method as you'll find these when you go through Copilot and AI innovation, all of these examples that I walked you through. So they're all available using this website link, and I will put that into the chat so that everyone can have access to it as well. Let me see, questions. The release date, it'll be available generally in October. You should actually be able to apply it to your sandbox environments right now, and general availability, in just a couple weeks. Any other questions from anyone? Okay, well, it was truly a pleasure presenting and to all of you. Thank you for your time and your attention. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And I hope to see you soon.